I'm the 5-Minute Professor outside of my Tuesday night gig here at Post Time Lounge and Cafe. You can come and see me anywhere you want in Central Florida as long as it's one of the 3 places where I do live trivia. Tuesday night at Post Time, Thursday night at the Silly Grape in Maitland, and Saturday at Waco Taco. Of course, that's subject to change. But I wanted to talk today about hurricanes. Hurricane's an interesting word all by itself. Hurricane is a Spanish reintroduction of a Taino word for, or Carib word, for that type of storm, because Europeans were not familiar with the tropical storm, because it starts off the coast of Africa and it spins and gathers strength over the Atlantic, and then it collides with North America. Occasionally, that storm can make it back across the Atlantic and affect Europe, but usually by the time it gets there, it's no longer a tropical storm. It is a depression, or it is a circular formation without a clearly defined eye, because the water that it's feeding off of has gotten colder. One of the requirements for a hurricane is surface water of at least 79 degrees. That gives it enough heat energy to continue the cycle of creating the storm. We've had named storms in this country since 1943, but the concept of naming storms actually dates back to an English meteorologist back in the late 1800s, but when he retired, they stopped doing it in 1907, didn't pick up doing it again until 1943. Now, one of the things that's important about the storm is the nature of the storm. In North America, they spin counterclockwise, and what that means when your storm is spinning counterclockwise, it is picking up energy in a unique manner. And in North America, in the Atlantic Basin, you're going to get storms that move counterclockwise, and that means that the upper right quadrant is going to be the most powerful part of the storm, the upper right quadrant. And because of the nature of this spinning, it is going to be drifting slightly west and slightly north. That's north of the equator. That's what these storms are going to do. They're going to be spinning and drifting that way. Now, there are a lot of things which influence where a storm goes. Other areas of high pressure, other areas of low pressure, and also other formed tropical depressions, storms, and hurricanes. They all can impact the direction that a hurricane can go, and all of those things need to be factored in. And there's different weighting on those, and that's why we see those crazy spaghetti lines all over the place when they're showing those different tracks that different models have created for the storm. As it turns out, none of the models are usually exactly right. You have a part of one model, and then another part of another model, and then another part of another model, which is why they give you that cone of probability. But as sophisticated as meteorology is, they're still guessing. Yeah, they are guessing. We're also guessing on what they call storms in the Pacific Ocean. We guess that it is from a Greek word, which made its way into Arabic and Persian, and eventually even Hindi, the typhoon, for a god, well, not even a god, it was a mischievous spirit that created storms, and that is where that term comes from. Now, it turns out that in Chinese and Japanese, there are very similar words, taifeng, which are used to describe the storm, but they have a completely different etymological base. Now, in the Pacific Basin, above the equator, they still spin counterclockwise. South of the equator, they spin counterclockwise. Very rarely a north of the equator storm will stray down into the south of the equator. That's very uncommon. Even less common for a storm that is south of the equator to stray north of the equator. But they all kind of have similar starting points, and they're storms which form and create incredible devastation. One of the characteristics of a storm, though, is it's going to form over water, and it's going to impact islands more than it's going to impact mainland, because, well, you can completely surround an island, and a storm can maintain its strength when it can still have access to that warm ocean water. Perceptum, quispium, damnitium. Learn something, damn it. I'm the 5-Minute Professor, and thank you very much for listening to today's lesson. If you have any comments at all, please put them in the comments section down below. And of course, like it and subscribe to the channel. But most important, if you liked it, if you commented, and if you subscribed, tell your friends. Perceptum, Quispeum, Damnitium. Learn something, damn it.